It was really interesting when you were talking to me. I kept like saying to myself, I just know I know you from somewhere, but mm, yeah, a lab. It's an Antarctica lab.
Hmm.
It's actually there is a tunnel. It Orlando pops up, and then from Orlando, west part of it, goes the big tunnel underneath and goes straight to Antarctica.
Oh God,
And it seems like it's a very short distance. It really is. It's
I
not
have
what you
chills.
think. Yeah, and your name there sounds like Jenny McKinsky. Um, it's almost like a Irish McKinsky,
Hmm.
like that.
Hmm.
It's on your it's on your white robe. You're like a doctor there, like a scientist. I see you standing in front of the computer in a bright room, very bright. It's like a large, very large computer screen. It's in the wall, and there is a desk, and you do have the keyboard on the desk, and the keyboard lights up when you touch it. And the keys are like glass. It's pretty interesting. Um, and very easy, and they don't really make noise. You just kind of touch them, and like touch screen keys built into the desk. And you're looking at the different body parts of, I see the mantis legs, and then you're looking at human legs, and then you click on the mantis legs, and they blend in as if you were mixing them up with the human legs. Kind of interesting that human legs all of a sudden grow longer. Um, the knees bend the opposite way. They get covered with different kind of hair structure, more like antennas, thin, rare positioned. And you look, and then you unclick them, and then you can mix it with different. There's different tables of different. Um, it's something like formulas, so like DNA codes, and you know which one is which, and you can mix them together and see which would work best because it's from the database. You have this a large, it's like a big room. It's made out of metal inside. There's shelves. The shelves have the lab tubes with different DNA samples. And there's lots and lots and lots of metallic shelves that I see. It's all in gray colors. As far as I see, the room is like not very lit on the dark side. And each tube has this number on it, like a code. Code is the same like on your computer screen, and they tell you which hybrids they want to create for which programs. And at first you mix it up on the screen, and then you create it in a tube, and then the little embryo grows, and it's transported into a large tube, as in a cloning kind of room. It's a very big room. There's a table in the middle, and there's like a crocodile in uniform, in black, German uniform, sitting there. Looks looks like a human crocodile form type. It does have tail, and he's like watching the clones in the tubes to make sure that they are not escaping, everything's fine, nobody walks in and things like that. Uh, it kind of tells me that what we're looking at now is a different timeline of that, where the Germans are still in charge of this particular facility. I had a name, Black Spider Cape. I have no idea what it is. Um, it has a big opening in the snow. It's a tunnel. It looks like just something that a snow blizzard made. But if you go further, there's big black gates. It's made out of metal. Looks very ancient ones, almost like the gates to the ancient city, I would say. Giant with those rings. They open though like a very high technology. They slide to the sides by themselves. And then there's some large things that they bring in containers. I see some, I see like that, you know, that those very old, with the swastika, like old German crafts.
Mm.
Kind of looks like that bell or uh, like a pyramid almost, or a church bell. So I see those crafts. And I also see black triangular ones. And I also see the metallic. You know, metallic ones are fascinating because they emerge out of nowhere as if they were made out of air. And then they reconstruct and they see how the molecules, it looks like molecules of mercury that are not particular perfectly round, but they shape shifting and the corners are like, moving. Uh, they are they just emerge in there and go in there and they take. I think they bring some samples of DNA into the lab, and sometimes they bring big containers. I get a feeling they bring beings to there too for the examination and research. And that's your only altar that you have. You only have one,
Okay.
and it's like that's very smart analytical ability that you have. And you actually live in Dublin. You know what I mean? I'm looking at you having this life. You were born in outskirts of Wausau, by there's like big green hills in the village and a little pond and cows and about, I don't know, it's a very small village. It looks like 25 houses maybe maximum would be there. Yeah, it's really beautiful. There are children running. I don't even see school or anything. I just see like that the children are being taught by their parents, like that, or helping them out with the chickens and cows and all this stuff that they have. And it's it's like 13th, 14th century.
Mm.
That's alive there. But then I see the same life there in 18th century, but then you move to Ireland. And then in Ireland, in Dublin, then that's when they take you, they abduct you, and they make a clone of you,
Mm.
and they put it into that facility. Uh, they do the alteration. The alter happens when your father, as a little girl, he like drinks a lot. He's an alcoholic. It looks like you always protect your little 2-year-old brother, and you're only 7 or 8, and it's like something happens there when you see how he beats up your mother, and I see like a split, literally a split in two halves in your emotional body happens. And that's when that night I see Grace standing looking at you, how it happens. And I see that night the crocodiles come in black uniforms and take you on the craft and bring you to the moon, looks like. And that's when you go through some procedure when they take your DNA sample. It's some sort of like a tailbones location injection when they take out your DNA, and then we return you, and that's when they make a clone. Take some time to grow it, but yeah, just like it's a protocol, it's a procedure, how they do it, how they plug it in to you, how you start giving. A lot of times it would be 30% of your energy to the clone, and but you're also a scientist in Dublin also. It's like a molecular biologist and a geneticist, something like this. I see you dealing with genome drawings or on the screen of the computer. You're looking at it through the microscope, the structure of DNA, things like that. And you're obsessed with DNA mutation idea. And that's kind of how they picked you, because it's also related to how the Greys grabbed you from your planet, Venus, when you were a scientist there. You were doing research on DNA mutation also, because some DNA mutations start happening with your people, which they look like humans, but some of them start looking like more like frog beings in a way. Some features start appearing, and you start being interested in maybe those beings who come with knowledge to teach us and who do some sort of, it's almost like a student exchange thing when they bring some of theirs beings to the Venus school, and then in laboratories and research center, and then they exchange the specialists back and forth, or specialist and students. And then invited you through the same program basically to Earth, which which you saw there was a lot of DNA manipulation going on there. And I see on a big banner the word interest, like they got you by interest. You really are, it's almost like the way you were living, it was all about this idea of more research, more discoveries, obsessed with that idea. So you weren't really thinking about the any possible consequences or hardship or anything. All you wanted to know is get more knowledge, deal with more DNA samples and things like that. So they took you It's like number 9 lives pops up right away that you lived. This is looks like number 10, but then it turns into 1 for some reason. Yeah, because you want to annul it to delete the previous lives. Because you got to the point that you understand you don't like that experience that you lived through, but yet you understand you can keep that experience and just get out of here because it's about time for you. Um, yeah, it was purely like I see you working in the lab. It's like a little tiny. You live in this grayish building with 4 floors. You're on floor 3. I see a balcony. And then you go every day to your work. It's some building with columns, and it's small. It's small, but it's like a museum type building, but it's actually experimental laboratory and research institute of Dublin. It's across a little canal, just like a bridge goes over, and you walk on it. I see it like from here to here. You're walking. You're going to work that way every day, and then they tell you that there's so many opportunities about different projects. There's some person. There's a guy who comes and says that I have this great Rich Richard. He has he has his different exchange programs, and they also has some projects that you have to deal with different institutes from around the world and also in the country to do more research on. And these topics that you read, I see you're reading a paper interests you a lot, and at the end you have to put your signature. But little did you know that he's an agent of this military group.
Hmm.
It comes up to me. I got the spider technologies. I don't know what is spider technologies. Really kind of weird. It's almost like a made up something that he presents that he's in charge of that CEO of the company that he produces equipment for the labs that he can provide for free if you just agree to participate in some of their research because you're considered a bright mind, one of the brightest minds of your institute, and you agree and you sign. There's 5 different points of it, and it doesn't look like a big deal at all. But what's interesting that in the etheric, you're also sitting in the desk and he gets your attention but in a different body, and he looks like that one of those crocodiles who also took you before for DNA sampling. And he says, well, your clone is ready. Would you like to participate and see new insights of the genetics and technologies based on the genetics and in genetic field that you can actually use? It's fascinating. We can do stuff we could never that could never be done, was never done before, and you agree, you sign it on both at both levels, at etheric level and the physical level, and it's done. And then that's when the split happens. That's when they activate your clone. You start giving 30% to the clone, because before it was flowing differently, the percentage was lower, and now it's activated. And that's when you start getting these strange sensations like you are living not your life. It's a very clear feeling of this is not the life I'm supposed to live. It's because your clone is starting, it's bringing you information from what the clone is experiencing, you are experiencing also. And some of the things the clone sees, you see in your dream. You see strange, like parts of the human body alive, and or some living beings that look so weird and unnatural. Those are hybrids. Some information you get from the lab, you also perceive in your dreams how screwed up this world is. And in a way, it serves you a good purpose because you actually makes you wake up, makes you ask yourself questions. Why do I feel this way? This is really strange. I was never feeling this way before. What is happening now? So, and that made you search for information, more and more information. Uh, so basically, that's how the whole story initiated. And you are just in your energy field right now. You can easily go back and forth. You go on. What's really interesting that you actually go check on your clone, and it's like you look at yourself, and I think when you look at yourself sometimes that you don't recognize you, or have a feeling like somebody's behind the mirror looking at you, but it's not you, or that the mirror can be a portal that would take you somewhere that you semi remember where it is, but not quite. Kind of mystery feelings that you start getting because you actually go and check on your clone and talk to her, talk to yourself, basically, in a way, because it carries your energy in it. And so that you get the information about different timelines, or sometimes the clone tells you ahead of time what's going to happen next in your own life. That's what causes in your life like deja vu moments,
Mm.
and all kinds of stuff that you just know, and you don't know why you know that, but it's from the clone. And I see so basically there is this three grays, two of those crocodiles, and your clone came, and they're all standing right in a row in your energy sphere right now. And you're saying that it's like unfair that you take so many DNAs and you use so many people without their knowledge of their physical parts that they experimented on, and in their lives they're forced to do some things that they have no idea, that lead them to confirming and agreeing to the experiments that they are performing on them. um, Sometimes you even rebellion in that group of doctors, and I see when they rebellion, they give you like a shot into the arm, and you forget things. Hmm. It's like blocks your memory right away, straight away. It cause you pain in your head or neck, back of the neck. Sometimes they inject it into the back of the neck also to make you forget about wanting to rebellion and tell everybody about what you know. So they encapsulate and block this information so you don't. And it also has some substance of being a type of obedient person. Don't rebel, you know. You obey, you do obey us. You're very obedient. You must listen to us and do what we tell you to do. That's kind of substance. It's a green, flaky substance. Flaky because it goes in different shades of green, one over the other, over the other, over the other. It kind of looks like that, like it separates in the body and it targets different regions of the central nervous system. Some of them go to the darker ones, go to the brain, lighter ones stay in the spinal cord. So what you do, you take this powerful vacuum, start like sucking everything from your head to from the spinal cord all together quickly, sucked out, and throw the vacuum out. There's a big plate over your chest, also covering your heart. You take the rod out in the middle of your heart that holds it in place. You take it out. It's just a system of control because if they don't control you, you'll escape. They know it. So it's like they give you commands in your, not to you, but to your clone, the clone's head, like stay here, don't go there. You can't cross this territory. You gotta stay in your territory. Don't cross the yellow line or the red line. Things like that. And also blocks they open the connection when they need to for the clone to bring in more information or energy of your subconscious, of your energy body into the clone. When they don't need that, because it also carries information from you, they just cover it up, they block it with this platform that they pull the strings on it or the wires on it. And you take it out also. There is some cords hanging out of it. There are four of them that are light yellow. They're going all the way down to the kind of twist and turn. They go like make a twist on top of your stomach, going over your stomach around, and then like going through your reproductive organs and crisscrossing like in that motion. Because that's where they take the energy also. It's important for them to take that energy of creation. Because they're also thinking of creating a super clone. I don't know what it is. It's like a blend of different DNAs, but they would use your DNA also. And that clone would be much, much taller, as I understand, like a giant one. So they call it super clone. Their understanding. And so you go to the time when they took your DNA, when they abducted you, and you tell them, I disobey. I refuse to be abducted. I refuse going with you. You have no right. I know my rights. That's my free will decision. And just stop. You don't have the right to touch me. And actually fly away. So you change that timeline. Then you go on Venus. You undo the signature that you did when you agreed to be like in this exchange program in between humans and Venetians. And so you change that time. Also, I see you already as a scientist back on the Venus. You're very tall, sophisticated, and like being there. You also have It's like on Venus, it's interesting. You kind of have the same. I actually thought you were a beautiful man, like a handsome man, but you're actually a woman. But you kind of look like those, you know how they draw Pleiadians with like hair down to shoulder, kind of like that, kind of like what you look like, except you're wearing the blue suit and your skin is white but with the bluish shimmer to it, which is a really beautiful. It depends on the light that is falling on it, but other than that, it looks white. Um, the blue suit is very blue, light, 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 and he has a belt. The belt has the oval. I want to say it's technology because it looks like a crystal, transparent oval, but it sticks out like a 3D, but it's not. You touch it. You touch it when you need to connect to portal system that you're gonna use, or connect to your ship when you're gonna use it. It's like a car. It's like a car and the keys and this, and when you open the doors of the car from far away type thing. It's the same way when you touch the crystal, the the large door of your spacecraft opens for you. It's like it's as if it was scanning your fingers or scanning your energy, something like this. When you touch it, or your frequency, when you touch. Um, so you change those timelines. You disconnect that. Oh, you're going back when they created the altar, when they split your mental body and emotional body got also fragmented on this different. It's because you were suppressing emotions at this job, because you are, when you go into that clone and meet with the clone, it's almost like you give the clone feels your emotions towards what the clone does, and those are not good emotions. So they're kind of bottled up in your emotional body, and that's why you create this pool and you just jump in real quick to wash it all off into the water so the water can absorb it. It does absorb. And you come out. Your DNA, I see like original 18 strands of Venetian DNA. That's a original one. And then you can add as you please. That's what you say. But the original one is 18, so you go back to that from what we have now. So you can remember yourself more, and get you can get flashbacks from the life on Venus, which was beautiful, and you really liked it. It's much like it's much like Earth. It's very beautiful, but it just have different hue of colors to it. I see mostly like blue, purple, but the idea there is living and enjoying, doing what you choose for yourself to do, and everything else is provided for free. There's nothing to worry about, really. Your body doesn't age. You can live for 350 or 400 years, and then you just get tired of the life. It's not like the body just dies without your permission. No, you have to permit it to die. You have to tell it, I'm done with you. And it's like you shed it like the snake sheds its skin. So I'm done, I'm going, or like that. So you changed everything. You took the done a lot of research on you. It's almost like they've also done some research with the tiny, tiny needles, look like long acupuncture needles or whatever they are, penetrating your body all over the place. Kind of reminds me of that game that we play with kids. There's holes in the trunk of a tree, and you have to stick sticks into it. And that's what I see they've done with you also to block some energies. Imagine you're a tree, your body is your trunk. There's the chakras here. They're artificially, there's like leads put in your body. And in each segment of, in between the two leads, there are holes. And through the holes, they put like tiny little crystalline, like if selenite, you can kind of take off some long sticks like needles from it, and it actually hurts if you can poke yourself through your skin. So it's kind of like what they were using to rearrange your energy the way they wanted it. It's a kind of like they reversed the flow at some point almost of the energy there. But on your physical side, it kind of serves you for your benefit, because you start asking yourself questions because you weren't feeling the right way. Something was strange and wrong for you, but you couldn't really pinpoint what exactly that was in your case. Um, so you're opening the portal, throwing the leads as the fake chakra system there. Go into that moment. You want to that extent, you went back to the moment where they tried to insert those needles into you. You stop that procedure. So that moment is canceled out in your life. It wasn't quite a moment, it was for 5 years, 4 to 5 years that they've done it to you in physical time. And then you just return back to energy sphere, cleanse everything, check on everything, send the grays and I mean crocodile reptilians beings into the portal. Portal's closed, and I just see you back on Venus. But you're in that timeline when they never invaded it. They never started invading it. Like that was the beginning of the invasion when they started offering all these programs to different parts of the population there. And you just happened to be a scientist, so you were offered it that way. Others were offered a different way, depending on their occupation, what they chose for themselves. So you just spread the information to all of them to let them know that's what happened to you, and that's what can happen to them also. Because most of the planets, most of the stars, they took over that way through slow infiltration of their system and take over. A lot of times they would just mutate the bodies so they can connect better to them, and through them implant new ideas into the population's heads and create systems of control like they did here. Yeah, you can ask any questions now. I see you clean.
Um, no, actually, I don't. That was a lot. Thank you.
I
Yeah,
usually have questions.
yeah, not public, but yeah,
Okay, yeah.
very lots of things were very visual and um, pretty accurate as far as things go.
Yeah, I totally know you. I've seen you there before when I was exploring Antarctica anyway. Okay, let me turn it off.